everybody, and welcome back to Rise of the Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Kara.
And I'm the captain now. And I'm Brownie.
Whoa, it's weird. I'm so not pixelaty anymore.
You're pretty pixelaty.
We're not made out of blocks.
I'm still wearing glasses and bald, unfortunately. But
I feel like those avatars were pretty on point.
they were. They were.
Mine, which no one ever got to see, was the most customized.
It was. You were just talking about like how you couldn't move, and Kara and I had to move to make somewhat dynamic.
Yeah, otherwise, might as well just put a still picture of you guys being like on the screen.
But your character was the camera angle, so you can't move.
Yep.
So Chris got to. Now, at least you know I'm not going to come through the ceiling with a horse, Chris.
Can you imagine Jeremy just leaving really quick, be like, hey guys, just 1 second. And all of a sudden we see just the roof just starting to like
collapse.
And then you hear the.
Jeremy tries to get a dog. Oh, Karis is your dog. He won't follow me.
Oh, man. What luck.
Oh, my goodness.
Good Lord.
Getting the wrong dog. But, yeah, no, it feels good to be back down here. Chris and I came down yesterday, got everything all set up, and realized I forgot a bunch of stuff. So
Now that I'm sitting in here, I really feel like we haven't been gone that long, even though I know we've been gone like 6 weeks, but it feels like just yesterday we were in here recording.
not for me. It feels
Really?
like it's been here forever. We had to like blow the dust off this place. That's for sure. For real.
Okay, you guys did come down yesterday to get set up. I got to stay home and relax. It's quite nice.
So, I'm glad, I figured one of the two of us or both of us were going to forget something.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's go as if we were going to shoot, just try and grab as much stuff as we can remember to grab.
And then make a list of everything you forgot.
Yep.
Then I forgot the list. I have it. I just lost it.
It was and it was a pretty basic stuff. Like most of the stuff on the list was for something we want to build later.
Right.
Okay.
But it was the power supply for Jeremy's camera,
Yep.
and that was really the only main thing. That
Just
was
the cards, but that's
and
we
then-
always forget those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so and then so it is what it is.
But we're down here now, and so there's lots and lots of fun stuff coming. Like we're really gonna. I've got podcast ideas, just super exciting. So one thing we have is we have an email address now. Woo!
Welcome to 1993.
I think listener mail would be really fun. So towards the end of the podcast, and you can check the link right now. You can go there for the email address, where to email us. We all have our own personal emails. You can email Jeremy, Chris, or Kara at Rise of the Podcast.
Brownie.
Brownie. It'll be in the description.
Yeah.
Or in the link dump on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're listening from. But that's really exciting. So what we want to do is if you want to ask us a question or you want to give us feedback.
Or tell a Star Wars related story.
If you want to tell us a Star Wars story that we can read on the podcast, absolutely reach out to us, email us. We'd love to read them.
On the podcast, yeah?
Absolutely, on the podcast.
Yep.
So if you feel like it, put it in there hey, read this on the podcast so we know we kind of have your permission.
Yeah.
But if you want to just not have us read it on the podcast, let us know that too. Be like, hey, awesome, but don't read this.
Well, and this sort of, I feel, stemmed from, on Star Wars Day, we did a post on Facebook, facebook.com/Rise of the Podcast, and where we asked people what their first Star Wars experience was. And it was super cool seeing, how, nobody really had the same experience as anybody else.
No.
Everybody sort of came into it in a very unique way, and it's and all of us sort of came into it in different ways. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. So things like that, where it's what was your first Star Wars experience, or when did you first identify yourself as a Star Wars fan? That's not just
right.
a movie you saw, but a franchise that you really resonated with.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Something that's really cool to hear about.
I remember. So like I said, I watched the movies on TV, and then they did a re-release of the movies before Phantom Menace came out, Episode 1.
Yep.
And even at that point, way back then, I didn't consider myself a Star Wars fan at all. It was just Star Wars was there and it was something I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. I would even, maybe go as far to say it was all of a sudden, people start getting me Star Wars stuff for Christmas and for birthdays. And then it's oh, hey, I don't know, people just really dived into it. And then the EU stuff keeps coming out. You get video games and books and everything that supports it. And all of a sudden, it's not a hard line. You're oh, I'm a Star Wars fan now. It's
you don't wake up
right.
I know.
I'm a Star Wars fan.
It just is a transition that just happens over time, and it's now all of a sudden I am absolutely a Star Wars fan now. Now everyone knows it. Now I really get Star Wars stuff for presents, which is the best because then people don't have to think about what to get me.
Speaking about birthday presents and stuff. So first of all, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Tuesday is Jeremy's birthday.
Yeah, tomorrow's Jeremy's birthday.
Yep.
Yep.
So he's going to be 106 years old.
Looking pretty good for a 106-year-old.
Yeah, you don't
About
look a
the right
day
amount
over
of hair.
87, Jeremy.
Yeah, about the right amount of hair. You're so funny.
But I remember, man, I think it was either 8th or 9th grade or something, a birthday party of yours, and everything was SpongeBob.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
Absolutely.
You're the reason I have seen, and now, like, I'd consider myself a SpongeBob fan.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's such a great show. And it's like, it came out in 99. We were 12 when the show came out, right? So we're already a little bit outside of, like, the target demographic for it. But it's so freaking good.
Yeah. That just okay, so I remember that birthday. And, like, SpongeBob has some of the most, like, guttural laugh moments the show has ever given me. Just like, SpongeBob blows the balloon and it's an elephant. And then Patrick's like, it's a giraffe. Like that, putting out Squidward's fire with the snowball.
That's such a...
But anyways,
yeah,
so there
imagination.
You want to go back to, like, so now kids have all this, like, fun stuff they get for their birthday parties and do. So you know, one of the games I remember, because we were down here setting up yesterday, we were talking about birthday parties, and you're like, oh, do you remember this one? And I didn't, but it brought me back to a memory of a game my dad came up with for one of my birthday parties. He gave everyone gum, but made them wear choppers. And they had to, like, open up pieces of gum, and whoever could get the whole pack of gum in their mouth first won the game. So I just remember standing outside of my house with, like, all my friends or whatever. And there was like probably 6 of us or something, 5. It wasn't huge. I didn't have a lot of friends. But anyways,
nothing's changed.
I just remember
a lot of friends
my
either.
dad. And if you guys know any of the other stories about my dad, you know, he saves everything, right? And so there was, like, the free banjo story where I asked for a banjo, and so he gave me this, like, boat anchor that like he said was a banjo and never once in his life was a banjo. So he's got, like, everybody's got these mixed matched huge choppers on that are, like, from World War II all the way up to...
Your dad just sees a lone chopper on the side of the road in the middle of winter. Oh,
yep. Oh,
I must have a match somewhere.
oh, that'd be good for my son's birthday party games.
In 3 years.
But it's just so
He's
funny.
playing the long game.
Yeah, they always do. Like, people who like to save stuff like that always do. So anyways, but yeah, so it was like, I just remember all my friends, and I was super embarrassed because my dad's handing out choppers to everybody, and people had fun, I think.
Well, they've kind of remade that game. You've seen, it's almost like round robin where, people wear oven mitts and they have to open up a present.
Oh.
And, like, the person ahead of them is rolling dice, and once you hit doubles or whatever, you have to pass the package on, and then whoever actually opens up the package gets the present inside.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but you have to wear oven mitts when you're trying to open it.
So my dad was a hipster. He did it first, apparently.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so that gives me an
did
idea
forward
for handicap in the 3-minute Lego builds.
Yeah, there you go. So
Oh
you gotta
my
build
gosh.
it.
Yeah,
You
for the next minute, you have to use oven mitts while you're building.
Can Jeremy use Duplos?
Oh,
That's Jeremy's secret power up.
Yep. I changed my Legos just change into Duplos, and then it's, like, easier to build. And then I transform into a toddler.
Yep.
It was like when Kara asked you to, like, Photoshop stuff in on me during the podcast live,
We haven't
and then I
done
was
that in a long
mean, and then
time.
I moved it around, and you still did it anyways. And
Yep. Back when I cared.
if you do that now, it
The
just Chris be like,
podcast.
nope.
Right?
Yeah.
Use your imagination
Yes.
to do that. So, but you were talking about Star Wars fans too, and, like, being a fan, and it was inspired by just thinking of. I was very touched by a moment that happened recently, and one of the reasons why Star Wars is so awesome is because it started with George Lucas, and a lot of people like, there's a guy on the Star Wars Celebration Facebook page that he's got a poster, and who's all autographed that poster?
Basically every single big name. So, like, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams,
Peter Mayhew,
Ian McDermott, Peter Mayhew. There's a bunch of different names on there, and he wants to get it signed by Harrison Ford, George Lucas, and Frank Oz.
Those are the only 3 people that, like, haven't signed this poster.
Okay.
Of the bigger names. And people
Did
are
he get
like,
Alec Guinness on it before?
I think
I don't know if that was listed, but
Okay.
after the last name, he did, like, an ellipses to let you know that there were more signatures. So I don't know who else may
Okay.
have signed it, but he was just wondering, like, do I mount and frame it? Do I keep it rolled up in its case? Actually, I think it was a girl. Do I keep it rolled up in its case? So to potentially get Harrison Ford, George Lucas, and Frank Oz to sign it, but people were like, they don't do signatures.
So Frank Oz is out. He won't sign it. George Lucas won't sign it.
And Harrison Ford only does private signings.
So
he doesn't sign it.
You can get he just did one about 3 months ago, and it was $1,300 starting, depending on the size of the item and what it would be. So it would probably be about a $2,000 signature to get Harrison Ford. So that'd be like the only one they could plausibly get.
On there, and Peter Mayhew, they're both gone.
Yeah,
well, so like I would think like it depends on what you're trying to do with the thing. Like if you're just trying to like express your appreciation for Star Wars, put it on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you're treating this as like an investment piece, pay the money, get Harrison Ford to sign it.
Right.
Stock George Lucas and kidnap his family and force him to sign it.
Right. But anyways, so the reason why I went there is just because of George Lucas, right? So a lot of people, Dave Filoni works in person with George Lucas. I saw an awesome video last night I have to send to you. James Arnold Taylor gives a tour of an episode of the Clone Wars, and with all the voice actors there, and it's really funny. So they're like, he's walking through the studio, and so George Lucas is like down there, Dave Filoni is down there, Matt Latner's down there, Ashley Eckstein, they're all down there, and he's going around talking to everybody, and so it's so cool to see like George still personally involved in the process in like 2007, 2008, because the Clone Wars was like his thing, and I just can't imagine like being at a table reading for the ideas and all of this stuff, and this is a tangent, but anyway, so they get to D. Bradley Baker. And so he goes, James Arnold Taylor is like, this is D. Bradley Baker. He's the voice of the clones. And over there is D. Bradley Baker. He's the voice of this clone. There's D. Bradley Baker, and he's the voice of this clone. And then D. Bradley, he like introduces himself like every time as all the different clones. It's really funny.
That's awesome.
It's really, really cool. But so it started with Star Wars started with George Lucas, and then it goes from there, right? And as the universe grows and gets bigger and the more projects there are. So from the beginning, you've got like the director for Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Irvin Kershner.
You've got
Mark Wand. I can't remember the name of the guy, the first name of the person, but
right. And so then you got
Jedi.
You got
then George Lucas directed the first three.
Right.
Lawrence Kasdan was screenwriter on at least 2 of the original 3 films. Lawrence Kasdan is like the most underappreciated person in Hollywood. He wrote all the screenplays based off of George Lucas's ideas for Indiana Jones.
Oh.
Dude just destroys. He's awesome.
So as you keep like naming people off,
Kathleen Kennedy, huge involvement in Lucasfilm forever.
I was gonna say like since the beginning, wasn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or basically the beginning. Yeah.
So what's happening here is like the bigger that it gets, the more people are involved in the process. And what's been fun about doing the podcast and everything, and just even being a fan, is getting to interact with people who've worked on Star Wars. And as the circle gets bigger and you get towards the outside edge, things get easier and easier.
Well, so Adam Savage worked on Star Wars.
See?
Really?
Yeah, him, Grant Imahara, Tori Belleci. Grant, like these are all Mythbusters for people who don't know.
Love that show. Yeah.
But Grant was would robot control R2D2, or Tori and Adam worked at ILM and they built the sets for
Is Tori the female?
No, Tori, the Carrie Byron's.
Carrie Byron.
Tori's the tall guy that always hurts himself.
Well, those 3 used to just be extras, like not even extras. They'd be in the background.
Yeah, they were the build crew.
Yep, and then they there's a cool story about that I just read where they just said, "Oh, you're on TV now as a host." They just gave them their own host stuff, all 3 of them.
Yeah, which is awesome because it lets you do more production at the same time.
Absolutely. But anyways,
so it's like people that are famous for other stuff also were part of Star Wars. It's incredible how many people have had their hands in it, like you're saying.
Right. Yeah, and so as it grows, it just you get more and more and more. You can interact with people who are part of it, and it makes you feel it's like rooting for your favorite sports team. You get to meet an athlete that whatever, or you want your team to win because you feel like you personally are part of that accolade. That's what's awesome about sports. It's like if the Vikings win, then which doesn't happen that much, but
in the regular season it does, in the postseason it doesn't.
Oh man, just yeah. All right, no Vikings. So anyways, so you got a big universe. You got all these people involved, and you get to meet and get a little interaction with these people, and it makes you feel good as a fan. And you just get these awesome memories and experiences. That's why I was like, hey, if you have one, write us and send us an experience because it's really fun to share them. And so that's what was really cool. So we started listening to James Arnold Taylor's podcast.
Yes, we did.
And
the voice of General Kenobi in the Clone Wars TV show.
In the Clone Wars.
Those who don't know.
And Kara wrote him an email just talking about how she loves listening to his podcast and everything, and then surprised me even by saying, can you wish my husband a happy birthday?
That's right, I did.
And so she didn't ask him to do it as Kenobi. She just said, Kenobi's our favorite Jedi, and it's my husband's birthday, and just let that be that.
So I let him know that I emailed James Arnold Taylor. I didn't tell him about the birthday thing. I let him know everything else that I wrote, except the birthday part.
Mm-hmm.
So
the trickery.
I'm listening to the podcast, and there's only about 13 or 14 minutes left, and I called Kara up, and I was like, nah, he's not going to read your email. Like, it's almost over, because he did a podcast recently. It's just where he just read listener mail.
Yeah.
I hang up the phone, and I go back to listening, and then it was like, all right, and this next email I really wanted to get to before May 26th. He goes, this one is from Kara. You know, and it's Kara.
It's Kara.
But
Definitely
are you offended that he pronounced your name wrong?
Well, he did pronounce it right, too.
Yeah, he did. That's true.
He did what's called covering his bases.
Exactly. So I'm not offended. I had a boss. I probably mentioned this on here before, but when I worked at the tree farm in Carlton, what my boss there called me Tara for probably a good 2 months, and I just let it go. He's an older guy, and finally his wife was like, "It's Kara."
Poor guy, the cringeworthy no even just, you know. Although,
can you imagine 2 months of like, oh,
I would cringe so hard.
Yeah, I would cringe to death.
His wife filled out the checks and everything, so whatever, you know.
I think but maybe I should, you know how they say it's like perception and how you look at things. Maybe I just need to look at it with a different lens, and somebody respects me enough to just let me call him the wrong name for however long.
I don't care, whatever.
So yeah, so that was so I'm listening to this podcast, and he goes, all right, if you could wish my husband Jeremy happy birthday. So he's like, well, let's see if Kenobi will do it. And so, to make a long story short, he spends like 3 minutes. He brings Kenobi in. He talks to him for a little bit, and then
it's all part of a bit. Like, he doesn't bring like because he does all the voices or whatever.
Yep.
So he does this big production around it.
Yep. And wishes me a happy birthday. So there is audio of General Kenobi from the Clone Wars wishing me a happy birthday, telling me the Force is strong with me, which was really good, convincing me to stay on the light side of the Force.
Because the light side has good cookies too.
I think it's funny that he had to make it a point to be like, now stay on the light side.
I know.
He knows how persuadable you are to go to the dark side.
I know, right? And then it's really even funnier because then he mentions that Yoda and Mace Windu and Plo Koon make really good cookies, and Snickerdoodle, in fact. Chris, Kara made Snickerdoodle cookies that day. Unrelated.
Completely. Dang. Like, I was just craving Snickerdoodles. Like, the beginning of the morning, I was craving oatmeal raisin cookies. I love oatmeal raisin. I love
oatmeal raisin, too.
I was going to say, I know you like raisins. That's your favorite, like, snack.
Yep. Raisins are so freaking good.
They are. So I was really craving just that. I love cinnamon, too. So just that nice cinnamony oatmeal raisin. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, Snickerdoodle, though. That's got more cinnamon in it.
Yeah.
So I made Snickerdoodles.
That's awesome.
And then they talk about Snickerdoodles on the Talking to Myself with
James
Arnold Taylor.
I was literally grinning the whole time like a Cheshire cat. I couldn't.
That's
oh my
awesome.
goodness!
There may or may not be. I did take a little video after my reaction.
He was crying.
But,
I mean, like, it's a big deal.
That's just for Kara.
So.
And you, Chris. You can.
I'm gonna send that to James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah, it's so funny.
You addressed him in the video you sent me, so it may or may not be passed along.
You're so funny. You better not have.
Also, I was looking up because like he's done like a gajillion voices, right?
A gajillion.
So
Johnny Test.
I didn't know he did the voice. I love Johnny Test. I didn't realize he was Johnny Test.
Yeah.
And
that's so awesome.
Did you hear the good news? Netflix is doing a reboot.
Heck yes.
So I know
he's the voice.
That's so dope.
It's confirmed.
Good.
If you listen to the rest of that podcast.
I listened to it on my walks with Oliver. Like, the walk is about a half hour, and this episode's like an hour and 20 minutes.
And and so he confirmed that he's going to be the voice and everything.
Yay!
That's so cool.
Yep.
So let's see. He does Kenobi, Johnny Test. There's
Flintstone? Is it Barney or Fred?
Fred Flintstone. There were 4 really big ones that he.
Well, I mean, Fred Flintstone's a pretty big deal.
No, I know, but there's like 4 big characters, and he always mentions them in all of them.
He's Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet, yep. I feel there's one more. Because I'd forgotten about Fred. But yeah, he's done quite a few.
He was Barry Allen, the Flash, and a couple of things.
Yep, I remember him mentioning he was the Flash.
Something to do with Justice League as well. He was in one of the characters.
The Flash.
Yeah, the Flash in the Justice League.
Wow.
That's fine, Jeremy.
It's all good. It's all good. It's fine.
Crash Nebula, really? And the Fairly Odd Parents? That's cool.
Oh yeah.
And Lee Bradley Baker is Perry the Platypus.
He's another
Great
character.
Perry's in Fairly
He's in another
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb, yeah.
I know how much you like Fairly Odd Parents, and he was another.
Oh, it's so good.
He was another character that completely. There's another character out there that he does that's completely. I did not know that he did as well. It's really funny to go to if you go to his website. It's really funny because he talks about in one of his podcasts that like voice actors don't get like so there's typecasting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. People don't call them up and they're like, I want your voice. They have to like work their butts off
Yeah.
and audition like all the time.
So,
Yeah, because the people that created have a sort of voice in their mind. They want to find somebody who's like, yes, that's the voice that I've had in my head.
Exactly. Like they're not going off of looks because you're not going to see the voice actor.
Right.
He's the voice of Pippin in the Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring video game.
What?
Yeah. He does a lot of voice doubles too.
For
And
real?
Yeah, like he does like Christian Bale and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, the one I can't
He does
unhear.
a mean Doc and Marty McFly.
That's cool. That's so awesome.
Mean. He's really good.
I do a very bad Doc. Marty, we've got to get you back to the future.
He does. Now that I've heard it, though, I can't unhear. This is David Spade because now his
Really?
natural talking voice sounds actually very similar to David Spade.
Yeah.
So
I like David Spade. I think that there's a sort of like a spectrum of people.
Tommy Boy Man, him
It's
and
like-
Chris Farley.
I think on average, I like David Spade more than the average person.
I would agree. Like I would agree with that statement though because I love a lot of his movies too. Yeah, melted chocolate in the intake. That's gonna really up the resale value. Richard, what did you do?
Is that the?
That's Tommy. That's but that's actually Chris Farley's line. He says to David Spade. But
So one thing in the most recent podcast where he's answering emails, it was really cool. There was a cosplay group or a couple that got married, cosplaying as General Kenobi and Duchess Satine,
Ooh.
and the officiants of the wedding, James Arnold Taylor and the lady who did the voice of Satine.
Oh, that's
No
how.
way.
How?
Yep.
You guys did your wedding wrong.
we did. We go
What-
back and redo it.
I think they end up like nicknaming the wedding Obatine, like
Oh, my
Obi and
goodness.
Satine. Obatine.
I would have served everyone Ovaltine.
Right?
More chocolate Ovaltine, please.
Like, can you imagine having those two voice actors officiate your wedding as you're cosplaying as their characters?
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Well, and
I
then
thought that was really cool.
The guy that Kara wanted to play young Han Solo, he
Jimmy
has
Costa.
he has a YouTube channel, and he got James Arnold Taylor to play a villain in his short fan
Kenobi
film.
short.
Kenobi.
I
Which
just
is
saw that
actually
on the
really
thing.
good. You
It's
should
really
Look
good.
it up.
It's funny. He plays an imperial officer. And he's just a turd. Mean. He's good at the role.
Yeah.
He's just like Imperials are mean.
It's really funny. He's kind of got this little mullet.
Yeah, he
thing going
does.
on.
He got this little bullet. Oh man.
I would love to meet James Arnold Taylor. Like,
Yeah.
he just seems like a legit
Well,
cool guy.
we have a picture with
Okay,
him.
we do. And I feel
He's
so
like
bad.
leaning away from Kara.
No, that was Dee Bradley Baker.
Oh, it was D, wasn't
Matt
it?
Lanter was leaning away from you toward me, and Ashley was like back to back with me, like, because I was dressed as Ahsoka.
That's awesome.
I feel so bad though, because when we met them, I blazed right past James Arnold Taylor.
She
'cause
did.
I like Ahsoka. I'm dressed as Ahsoka. There's the voice of Ahsoka. So I blazed right past James Arnold Taylor and Matt Lanter.
I imagine him being like, well, hello there.
So James, I'm sorry. I want to meet you again. I swear.
And that's what we're so like. I don't think it's gonna happen at this point, but it's just me
Celebration.
being
Don't be a negative Nelly.
I really don't think it's gonna happen. But
No,
anyways,
Disney is in talks of reopening.
yeah, Disneyland and World, but very in like a limited capacity. And
But still,
it's just
Just think, if there's less capacity, you can get on the rides faster.
that's
Right?
true. There is
Rise of the Resistance.
no way that it's not going to be what it could have been if COVID never happened. That's what's
Oh, yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Because even if you do go, they're probably going to make you wear masks, and then like if
Right.
you're cosplaying as like a stormtrooper, are you good?
Well, can you
Or
imagine?
the Mandalorian, everyone's
Right.
going to be 2,500 Mandalorians there.
But can you imagine, like, if I cosplayed as Ahsoka, having to wear a mask with my costume?
Okay, sorry. We're talking about voice actors. Sorry. Gar Saxon, did you hate him in the Clone Wars? He's a jerk. Gar Saxon, he's a
He was the Mandalorian, kind of. They were the two main bad Mandalorians.
Death
the
Watch,
girl
Death Squad.
Yeah, was he the blonde one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
he
blonde guy.
sucked.
He's a
Yeah.
jerk, right? John Favreau's the voice.
Really?
Yes, John
Oh my
Favreau's the
gosh.
voice of Gar Saxon.
That's,
I guess I'm not too surprised.
Very good.
Yeah, because that was in the little thing he was going around, and then now Jon Favreau is like the head honcho for the Mandalorian. Him and Dave Filoni are like leading it up together.
Jon Favreau's been like killing it for the last 20 years.
Yeah. He's a huge Star Wars fan.
You watch him as Happy in the Avengers roles, and he just seems so like non-competent, as in that's the character, right?
Right.
He's like a goofball.
He's got a certain level of competency, but
he's like the bro of Tony Stark.
Correct.
He's not like someone you would think of as a head of security.
Right.
And then when we watch,
you go to for a hug if you need one.
You watch the behind the scenes of how they made the Mandalorian. He is a hard working person.
Yeah.
Like he is very serious, very like, we need to make the best show possible. We need to do like all these things. And they threw Ron Howard's daughter, like under the bus. Like they gave her the hardest episode because there's nighttime filming, there's water filming, there's jungle filming. It was the episode with the Mandalorian,
the farming
with the
one.
ATST.
Oh, okay.
And
that was a good episode.
Yeah, they gave her the hardest one because she was the newest director.
And they said she didn't know to be scared.
Yeah, yeah, and like how she just did a really good job with it and took it and ran with it. But man, yeah, it's just what a cool thing to be a part of, and it's just an ever-growing universe that these people aren't like out of reach of being able to have an interaction with. And you hear a lot of them, and that's one of the things is, so as going forward, why I've got like this newfound excitement is we're trying to figure out a way to do like video conferencing, to have guests on and stuff like that to
some ways so we can have guests that aren't like physically capable of coming here. But
we've had a few people reach out to us saying that they would like to participate somehow on Rise of the Podcast.
Yeah,
and it's like we'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, we just got to figure out the infrastructure.
Yeah. That's just it.
Not having internet access down here.
Oh, Lord.
We're working on that. It's my fault.
It is your fault.
It's not necessarily your fault. It's like who wants to pay another internet bill for a place you're at 2 days a week?
I know.
Oh, Lord, right? Too bad you couldn't just pay for the days you're here.
So lots of Star Wars stuff. That's why I was excited. You could tell we were like pent up on Star Wars stuff. So the next thing is I had a coworker who said, hey, you guys need to talk about some science-y stuff on there that's also Star Wars related. So I didn't listen to him. And so he gave me a layup. He goes, here's an article that you can talk about. And I actually think this is pretty cool. So you don't know anything about it, Chris. We're going to bring you up to speed right now. But there is this guy. I'm going to read him off, give him proper credit.
I'm just waiting for me to be like, oh, yeah, I know all about that guy.
Oh, I'm sure. It's a Dr. Abalone, marine biologist.
No. Marine biology is my science weakness.
Now, so here's what's kind of fun. So to give you a little bit of background about this guy, now he uses a different pen name, maybe, because he's also written a book. So his blog, we'll put the link to the book and the blog and everything in the linked up here. But he's written a book, and the book is called Songs of Talassa, and it's by Brian Tissett. But Dr. Abalone is a person, that is also giving credit here. Anyways, so the summary of this book in a nutshell is, like, in my own words, imagine extreme sports. This is how my coworker broke it down to me. Like, if the Olympics, if you really want to see how good the best athletes are in the world, let's send them to planets. So, like, let's say there's like a mountain planet, right? And the whole thing's one giant Alp, and that's where the world skiers go to do the Olympics for that event. And the story follows a girl who goes to this planet. Like, the whole thing's like Hawaii, where there's like the best waves and the best things and how like gravity affects the waves and all that stuff. So she goes to this competition. That's what the book's about. Sounds really, really cool. And I'm actually going to want to try to read this book. So anyways, he wrote a blog post about the scene from Rise of Skywalker with the waves, and he breaks down the science behind it. And so let me just get back to that. So, all right. Did Rey really ride a 260-foot wave on Kef Bir, the ocean moon of Endor? So we know that the forest moon of Endor is where the shield battle takes place, right? So Kef Bir.
I would assume it's Bir.
I'd say Kef Bir.
Kef Bir.
Like, because I like fur and like IR. That's my guess.
I suppose if there was like some sort of accent above it, then it would change to.
Yeah, or like Birmingham.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like Kef Bir.
Okay, right? So 260-foot wave, that sounds crazy. So here's what he broke down. So basically, this planet is 30% smaller than...
It's about 20% the size of the Earth.
Yes, there you go. Because he's got Earth, Mars, and then Kef Bir broken down, and then the planet from his book. So the lower the gravity...
So the smaller the planet, the lower the gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And so because there's less gravity on this planet, the wind is able to make these larger waves because there's not the gravity pulling it back down. So the waves are then larger, but they're also slower.
That makes sense. But so here, this is a beef I've had with Star Wars planets for a long time. Because like a vast majority of them are smaller than Earth, right?
Right.
Yep.
So it's like, and I'm sure people have seen footage of people on the moon, which is smaller than Earth, right? So it's like sure, like you get all these like crazy things that can happen, but also it's like everyone is operating as though they're under Earth gravity when they're running around or doing whatever.
Right.
And it's just like it makes me, it angers me to an extent.
So here's what's really funny. Basically, he did the math, and it turns out the waves were pretty accurate according to science. Except the only thing he said wasn't accurate about the movie is everyone should have been jumping around like they were on the moon.
So
Because of the low gravity.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. Wow. I just got a call from the exact guy who gave me the reference for the podcast. I just had to smash decline.
Yeah.
It's like,
What
sorry,
if you'd
dude.
accidentally just been like, yes.
I
should have.
You don't have to decline with a text or be like, "Hey, sorry, we're doing a podcast. We're literally
We
talking
should
about
have
you."
that just be a
default?
Yeah.
Our default. So anyway, so yeah, basically, so Ray's 5'6", and then that skimmer she was riding was 20 feet across. And then he looks at the dips of the waves, and some of the waves that you were tackling were 60 feet tall. The biggest wave ever recorded on Earth is 80 feet.
The largest.
That a surfer
the
has
largest wave surf record is by Rodrigo Coxic or something like that.
Yep.
And it was an
Rodrigo
80-foot wave.
Coxa at Nazari 2017 at 80 feet.
Yep. So that's the average. Or that's not the average. That's the world record for largest waves surfed on Earth.
How big is how big were the waves for like the tsunami that hit like Indonesia and stuff like that?
Oh, that'd be interesting to find out.
Because like that's technically a giant wave.
So here, I like. How long had the Death Star? The Death Star had been in that ocean or whatever.
30 years basically.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Like I was sitting there trying to think. Like I'm just sitting here thinking. I'm like, the waves didn't blow Kylo Ren or Rey over when they're on the thing. But I suppose if they're going that slowly,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to.
Okay, dude.
Keep up against it.
This is mind blowing. The Earth's biggest tsunami was 1,720 feet tall.
Holy crap.
So I'm sitting here thinking a 260-foot wave was huge. So the largest wave someone's ridden is 80 feet. The largest recorded height was on July 9th, 1958, caused by an earthquake along the Fairweather Fault in Alaska, and it loosened 40 million cubic yards of rock high above the northeastern shore of the Litua Bay, but the run-up height recorded was 1,720 feet.
So I know we make fun of
That's
Sharknado, but hearing that,
Could you imagine that wave? Like, could you imagine being a shark like up in 7,020 feet above water or 1,720 feet above water? Because I've been to Hawaii and I've like body surfed waves where you just kind of like ride the waves.
but those
like,
are probably what, like 4
4 or
feet?
5
well,
feet. Yeah.
well, no, I mean, like even then there was like
Yeah.
9 foot, 10 foot waves that day. And so I'd stand there, and it was experience that stuck with me because of how insane it was.
Yeah.
So what would happen is your feet would touch the ground, right? And then all of a sudden, you'd be like up at the top of the wave, and you'd look down, and there is a basketball hoop worth of height between your feet and the sand. And then you would just kind of come back down, and then just hit your feet. And then like I did that for 2 hours. I was just having so much fun doing that. So up and down and up. It was the coolest.
He didn't mention this was only 2 years ago.
No, it wasn't 2 years
kidding.
ago. This was
You're probably
2013.
younger.
2013.
Oh, okay. Right
7
before I
years
met you?
ago.
Dang.
Yeah.
Jeremy lived a life before Kara.
Oh, no, 2010. 2010, sorry. Yep,
10
2010.
years ago.
So I was...
23.
Wow. We got Miss Math over here.
33 minus
me.
10 is pretty tough.
Well, hey, we were talking... We would throw Ryan under the bus. We were talking Ryan doesn't even know how old he is.
Yeah. Happy birthday day of filming, by the way, Ryan.
It's Ryan's birthday today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he and I are the same age. He's just a month older than me.
Yeah, he was born in 88.
Yep. I was
So.
born in 88. Good year.
Not as good as 87.
Not as good as 87.
Actually, wait a second. It's the 23rd.
Yeah.
My friends are getting married today.
How are they doing it? digitally?
I'm sure they're just going to the courthouse or something.
That's so sad.
They
I mean, you can have a big party later.
That's what they're gonna do in the fall. So I was gonna be in their wedding, and because of COVID, they weren't sure if they'd be able to actually do it. So, and they're actually gonna be in Duluth this weekend, the 24th to 27th.
On a honeymoon, mini-moon type
yeah.
thing.
Which we should hang out with them. Anyway, yeah, I was gonna be in their wedding on June 20th, but I was messaging my friend's fiance, and she was telling me that they're just gonna get married today, and
So they get the day that they wanted to be married? Or, no, today's not June 20th at all.
nope.
My
I said
brain.
nope. So they're gonna get married today. I'm sure it's just gonna be like the parents, which I think both of my friend's parents actually have passed away now. But then just her parents, and then they'll do something bigger in the fall. So, yeah.
Crazy. But talking about the waves and everything, I thought like virtually it might be fun to see if like that guy wanted to be a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
So if we can figure it out, then we can do that.
He will science us
to death.
Like,
We're gonna get scienced so hard.
when it comes to science, I don't do well. Science and math, not my thing. Give me the creative things.
I like speculative science. Like, this could be a thing if you sort of squint at it.
In theory, in
Right.
a parallel universe.
I'm the type of person, I'm like, here's what we should do, and everybody else can do the science behind it to make sure it can happen.
Yep.
That's why we love you, Karen.
I see, I'm the creative person, you're the science person. Boom. We're perfect.
Perfect as can be.
Peanut butter and chocolate. Okay, so if you have peanut butter and chocolate, which one's science and which one's creativity?
Creativity's chocolate. Peanut butter
No,
science.
I was going to say creativity is peanut butter.
No, it's not. No. Creativity is chocolate. It's relaxing. It's fun. You don't go to a museum and say, "Can I have some peanut butter?" No, you want chocolate while you're browsing the like.
What museums are you going to that they give you
Right?
snacks?
Can you imagine just a little kid with like melted chocolate just
Look at this dinosaur. Look at the Mona Lisa.
On the way down here, I read a thing that there was the peanut butter industry was trying to relax the standards for peanut butter, and so the FDA passed a rule saying it has to contain 90% peanuts in order to be called peanut butter. And so they were trying to get away with putting less peanuts in and then more
What?
oils and stuff
More
like
fillers?
that. So that's
Ooh.
all. That's
Yeah,
science
boo to that.
to a T.
Sawdust.
Yep.
Right? Ooh.
That's one of the fillers, the cellulose filler or whatever.
No, I
like
want
psyllium
peanuts
or
in my
something?
peanut butter,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then there's a company in Europe, there's a country in Europe that the butter can only be labeled things with dairy, so they can't call it peanut butter, so they call it peanut butter cheese or peanut cheese or something.
What?
Yeah.
Why not peanut cream?
Yeah. Or
Who wants to
peanut
put-
spread.
Peanut
Peanut
spread,
spread
there you
makes
go.
the most sense, but
Like hazelnut spread.
which is
Nutella.
That was a trivia on the radio the other day.
So actually, I don't think peanut butter is as big over in Europe. Though, like Nutella is where it's at over there.
Who doesn't
Like-
love peanut butter though?
When Mimi and I were
Unless
in
you're
Italy
allergic
and
to peanuts.
stuff,
Yeah.
Mimi and I were in Italy, you couldn't find peanut butter. All you could find
Really?
was Nutella. Oh yeah.
I have a jar of peanut butter next to my desk. I think
Yes.
Jeremy's seen it. And it's one of those things, like, if I'm working on something and, like, I get hungry and I get, like, hangry or whatever. So, yeah, like, I have, like, some plastic spoons or whatever, and I'll just have a couple things of peanut butter, and it, like, levels out the blood sugar.
It's
Peanut butter is so good.
It's a really good it's a quick high filler, high calorie, like you can just it's a
My
good
mom
snack.
said when
Yeah.
she
It's
was in
perfect.
college, that's what she would do. That like, poor college kid. She would just eat peanut butter
Yeah.
in college.
I like ants on a log.
Oh yeah, and
Peanut
some
butter
more.
sauce.
The first time I
raisins.
ever remember having celery was as ants on a log.
You know, I never. My mom never put raisins on our celery. It was just the peanut butter.
What?
Yep,
Just log?
just log. Give me
Just-
that log.
All right, well, not that I really want to cut this off, but we're almost out of battery on the audio recorder.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
So thank you guys if you've made it this far into the podcast. I think we've earned a like. It'd be appreciated. It shows that you like what we're doing. You want to see more stuff like this. Comment down below, we talked about a bunch of different stuff, like correct us on our science mistakes, tell us something about Star Wars, tell us to have a nice day. I don't know, whatever you want to do down in there.
Send us a message and we'll read it on the next
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah. Email us at whatever the email address that we decide to put in there.
If you want to email me, you can email me, Jeremy at Rise of the Podcast.
Yeah, I don't expect that. Anyway, Subscribe if you're not already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time we upload a video, or eventually we're getting the infrastructure built to go live, so get ready for that stuff. And thank you guys so much for watching, and of course,
May the force be with you.